I support embryonic stem cell research. They use it for embryos. They do not support it when using it in fetuses.
I support embryonic cell research to a point that we come up with a better way of getting the stem cells from the human body, as in not directly from embryos, where the actual conceptions happen already. So, but that's going to take some time and more research.
So what exactly is embryonic stem cell research? What is the debate all about?
Embryonic stem cell research has stretched back into the 1800s. On February 1st, 1961, James E. Taylor and Ernest A. McCulloch established the foundation for stem cell science. By accident, they proved that stem cells exist. Stem cells are undifferentiated biological cells that can differentiate into specialized cells and divide to produce more stem cells. Embryonic stem cells come from embryos of organisms. Embryonic stem cells come from the blastocyst in the early stages of development. This involves the destruction of stem cells divide for indefinite periods of time. Stem cells can form into certain body parts. Stem cells in the mesoderm form blood cells, skeleton cells, muscle cells, and blood vessel cells. Stem cells in the endoderm form the gut cells, respiratory tract cells, liver cells, and pancreas cells. Stem cells in the ectoderm form neuron cells, skin cells, eye cells, and ear cells.
In 1998, James Thompson isolates human embryonic stem cells. This has been human embryonic stem cells were taken out of embryos.
How are embryonic stem cells obtained?
Well, that's kind of a very difficult process. All I know is that they take some of the cells out and they grow them in a petri dish. I don't know all the steps involved, but it has to be very maintained and it has to be very sterile. So therefore, they can keep the cells isolated. They have to put them in a growth medium so they can start growing, and cells are living organisms, so they need food. So you would need all those things combined together.
Basically, they go in, they take cells off the embryo before the differentiations happen within the cell.
Since the process of acquiring embryonic stem cells means killing the embryo, many people are currently debating whether or not killing the embryo is worth potentially finding a cure for particular diseases. Some people say it's not worth it to destroy a life to save another. Others argue that finding a cure for diseases is more important.
Do you believe that destroying a fetus is justified by working towards a cure for diseases? Why or why not?
No, I believe that fetuses have a right to live, and I believe life is at conception. Therefore, I feel like you're killing a human being. It's not just a gas to sex or
Do the ends justify the means? No, I don't think they do. So no, I do not actually believe in that. You take one life to save another life.
Are stem cell treatments dangerous? Can the treatments cause any health risks?
Well, they haven't done a whole lot of research with that yet, but anytime you're putting something that's not your own body, it can be a problem. If you're using your own stem cells, that's the best type, so there's no rejection possibility there.
Well, as you transplant anything into anything else, or as you do it for transplants, you always have some side effects to it. And again, with the transplant, sometimes you may not actually get the body to accept the transplant, so it's actually better if you do adult stem cell transplants.
The generation study, they did not let the embryonic stem cells grow long enough to form the tumors, which is what they do in all of these embryonic stem cell studies. They put them in the animal, they show some sort of therapeutic response, then they sacrifice the animal. Before you can ever get that through an FDA approval protocol, you have to leave those things in there. And when you leave them in there, they form tumors. I've been
That is
saying
all-
this
that
for
is the-
6
that's
or
part
7
of the
years.
process. That's part of the research process to find a way to make sure that they
But
turn
adult
off
stem cells and cord blood stem cells don't form tumors. And so why do we want to funnel all this additional research money into a
that's
research
what
protocol?
advancing the research is all about, that eventually, through research, they will find a way, I'm sure, to turn off that process of the stem cells forming, cancer forming. They've said it in this new way of obtaining stem cells.
Some people may believe that stem cell treatment is potentially harmful and will cause cancerous tumors. Those that don't support this belief believe that the curing of a disease is worth the risk of health issues.
What can we do with embryonic stem cells? Why are they so important?
Stem cells are cells that are undifferentiated, meaning they don't have a job yet, they're not specialized, so then if somebody needs, for example, a new organ, you could actually, to the point right now, we can develop and make certain organs like a bladder, so we can have these cells become what we need them to become, and that can help with different diseases and things as well.
Why are they so important?
Well, obviously, embryonic stem cells, those are the cells that basically are the basics or the building blocks for all different types of the body's tissues and organs. So basically, you can use those to replace any type of damaged tissue or organs in the body and have them regenerate and cure different types of diseases, any type of injuries, like the brainstem, types of cancers, etc.
Embryonic stem cells can be used to treat various diseases and injuries.
How can embryonic stem cells be used to treat diseases and injuries? Are there any other uses for embryonic stem cells?
Mainly for regeneration and fixing the body's parts that have been broken down or through disease or cancer.
Embryonic stem cells can help potentially cure diseases such as cancer, Parkinson's disease, and diabetes. There are many different kinds of stem cells that can help with many injuries or regrowth as well. Stem cell therapy is when stem cells are used to treat injuries and sicknesses. For example, stem cells can be used to replace cells and tissues destroyed by high doses of cancer treatment. Some of the many kinds are hematopoietic cells, adipocyte cells, and neuron cells. These are cells that can differentiate into fat compounds, heart cells, cartilage cells, immune system cells, blood vessel cells, red and white blood cells, hair cells, nails, brain cells, spinal cord cells, nervous system cells, bone cells, insulin cells, and digestive tract cells.
Things as well.
What kinds of diseases and injuries can stem cells potentially cure?
Well, for sure, one of them is there was a research done where they took some cells from a person and they grew cells and they became bladder cells. Then they implanted this bladder. It's like a balloon, so it's one of the more simpler organs. It also can be helpful in certain cancers, leukemia, and some other things like that.
Embryonic stem cell therapy can also help injuries and diseases such as leukemia, immune deficiencies, liver disease, cardiovascular diseases, neurological disorders, Alzheimer's disease, spinal cord trauma, and organ failures. If embryonic stem cell research can possibly cure all of these diseases, then why do people oppose it? Well, it may be a matter of destroying human life. People opposing stem cell research believe that in the future there will be an alternative to embryonic stem cells. For now, there is something called adult stem cells. Adult stem cells can be used to treat diseases as well as embryonic stem cells without the destruction of human life. In some cases, parents of newborn infant donate their umbilical cord because stem cells are also found in those.
Is there an alternative to embryonic stem cell research? And if possible, talk about like adult stem cell.
Adult stem cells, or even when a baby's born, there's embryonic stem cells sometimes in the umbilical cord, and after the baby's born, I have no problem with using something like that.
I think eventually we'll get to the point with our technology where we can actually have the person themselves grow their own type of stem cells within the human body themselves. But that's going to take some more time.
Human life and respecting the rights of an unborn person are important to people, and especially the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church supports funding for STEM research that does not involve destroying unborn human life. They support the alternative stem cell science of adult stem cell research and anything that does not hurt a human.
Pope Benedict XVI on Saturday confirmed the Catholic Church's support for and commitment to stem cell research, while reiterating the basic moral notion that real scientific progress cannot be had at the expense of human dignity but must always serve the authentic human good. The Holy Father was addressing the participants in a major international conference that took place here at the Vatican this week under the joint sponsorship of the Pontifical Council for Culture and the biotech firm NeoStem under the heading Adult Stem Cells, Science and the Future of Man and Culture.
A special word of gratitude goes to the many benefactors whose support has made this event possible.
On the other hand, many organizations support embryonic stem cell research, including the American Cancer Society, American Heart Association, and the Michael J. Fox Foundation. These organizations often donate to stem cell research. Funding is extremely important for research. Before official drug and therapy treatments can proceed, they must be licensed as a standard medical treatment. The treatment has to pass through preclinical research and studies on laboratory animals, and 4 or more clinical trials on human volunteers. The total cost of all this could be up to $3 billion. National Institutes of Health are the major sponsors of the research, but they never have enough to do clinical studies.
The debate over whether or not embryonic stem cell research should be funded is still in question. Until everyone comes to a compromise, we cannot move forward in science with or without the destruction of embryos. Do you believe embryonic stem cell research should be funded?
Give one last statement as to why we should or should not fund embryonic stem cell research.
I believe we should fund it as long as we're not using aborted fetuses, because I believe that, again, life begins at conception. I do not believe that we should use those, but other ones we can use from adults or the umbilical cord as well.
Give one last statement as to why we should or should not fund embryonic stem cell research.
I would say that as long as we fund it, we could actually fund it for continuation of learning how to better do stem cell